inter-party feuds and everything will go right? Certainly not. Let me give an example. The Fiscal Act of 2003 asked for pollution tax to be implemented, and not yet anything has been done. Environmental inspector has not been appointed in the last 10 years, and they are going on to change the city in 15 years. Oh my God, this is not possible. The Orient hydropower project has been halted for 20 years, my friend, 20 years, and they are to solve the problem of electricity in 10 years, to solve the problem of drinking water in 15 years. Oh my God, they are not plausible, my friend. And moving on to the second point, the messy present. What is wrong with the present? According to the pollution index of 2014, Kathmandu Valley is the 4th worst polluted city in the world. And have they addressed air pollution? A definite no. COPD and cardiovascular diseases are skyrocketing. Kathmandu will soon be a hub for these diseases. Have they addressed the fact of health of public citizens? A definite no. So, to add on, 40% of the drinking water is being lost by leakage. So what do they think? Melamchi comes in and the leakage is not being done. They have not addressed the distribution that is being done in Kathmandu Valley. Do they think that Melamchi will come and everything will be good? Or certain no. So we must change the system, and this is not happening right now, and we beg to oppose. Thank you.
Speaker spoke for 8 minutes, 27 seconds. Now I'd like to invite the Deputy Prime Minister of the House to deliver a speech.
Of the debate first by rebutting all the points that were spoken by the first speaker of the opposition. Let me begin with the definition of what livable is. Livable isn't ideal. That was what was said by the proposition first speaker. And yet, what we mean when we say livable isn't ideal is that we're not saying that Kathmandu will be livable and there will be no problems at all in Kathmandu. In 2030, there will be problems in Kathmandu. Sure. Right now, there are hundreds of cities in the world. But can you name a single city that is free of any problem? The point that we made is what is livable and what is survivable. Survivable is now. Now, when we have to go down and wait for hours for water services, right? When we have to wait for hours looking at our watch. When will that electricity come, right? 12:30, 1, whatever, load shedding schedule, right? So, the problem is this current context is survivable. Now, livable is improvement of that so that we can meet the basic needs of the modern citizen. What are the basic needs of the modern citizens that we addressed? They were things such as transportation, health, education, and so on. So, here's what the opposition said. They said that health and education are not basic needs of the modern citizen. Their word was we only addressed the basic problems and we didn't address health and education. So that implies that health and education are not the basic problems, basic needs of the modern citizen. But here's where the rebuttal comes in. Health and education are the basic needs of the citizen. And we will provide health and education through our policy, which is people-oriented development.
You're here.
So, here is how we will provide health and education. First of all, equality. Equality is very important. And the way we defined equality was that we would give everyone equal opportunity, not on the basis of, we'd not give equal opportunity on the basis of whether they're of one social class or of another social class. We will give equality on the basis of their skill and, right? what we're saying is we will give them equal opportunity in terms of skill development. So if someone is more skilled, obviously we'll give them a job than someone who's less skilled. But during the development phase of their lives, that is during education system, we will give them we'll give them equal opportunities. And how will we give them equal opportunities? Here's the thing. By making sure that public sectors become better than private sectors, at the same time maintaining the level of private sectors. Here is what we are saying. The reason there is inequality today, which is the main reason of Kathmandu not being livable, the reason there is inequality today is because public services cannot cater for the need of people. That is the problem that we've identified. And since public sectors cannot provide for the need of the people, there is a huge gap. There's a huge gap in the population of today. This is where the opposition speakers' 90% or 100% livable claim comes in. What we're saying is, now, we are giving them equal opportunity in terms of what they learn by making sure that public sectors become as good, if not better than private sector, at the same time maintaining private sector. And once we do that, now it is not up to us to say whether or not they can improve their quality of lives. That is the point we've been trying to make. We give them opportunities while they're learning things. And once we give that, it is up to individuals to make sure that their quality of life is improved and that they can make their own lives livable within Kathmandu.
PI, sir.
Yes, please.
So you say that people who are not that educated might commit crimes and you'll do nothing and just sit back and stand and say that we're given job opportunities?
See, here's where the policy comes in. We make sure that no one is not educated, as was the word used by the opposition speaker. We make sure that everyone is provided with education. We make sure that by making sure public schools and public sectors become better than private sectors. And here's how. How will we improve public sectors and make them to the level of private sector? There is the idea of social mobility. What is social mobility? It is the idea that no matter what status you're born in, you can pursue your dreams and reach the upper stratas of society. This is social mobility. And we are saying that for Kathmandu to be livable, there needs to be social mobility. People can move. People should be able to move from one class to another. So, why do we need social mobility? Because social mobility is the key to happiness, right? Social mobility is the key to happiness, and happiness decides a people's perception of whether or not a place is livable. As was said by the first speaker of the proposition, it depends. Livability depends from people to people. That was not challenged by the opposition first speaker. So we're going to assume that yes, livability depends from people to people. And what makes the difference between some people's perception of livability? Happiness, right? If a person is happy, so imagine a poor person. He's happy with life, he's happy with just a roof over his head, he believes Kathmandu is livable, he is living there. Not just surviving, he's living there with happiness. Happiness is the key which measures whether or not a city is livable. And how are we going to make sure that Kathmandu, the people of Kathmandu, have a happy life? By making sure there is social mobility. Once there is social mobility, there will be increase in happiness. Because imagine the scenario where there is no social mobility, where people are just fixed in one constraint of society. Poor remain poor forever, farmers remain farmers forever. That will create a set of depression in the people. So because of that, what we need to do is we need to have social mobility. The idea of American dream, which provides people with this idea that you can't move above in social terms, means this creates livability in several American cities because it reduces depression because people have the mindset of happiness. So now what we're doing by having social mobility is that we are making sure everyone is given equal opportunities through making sure that public sector becomes as good as private sectors. And once we give them equal opportunities during their schooling or during the health sector, right, in hospitals, what we are making it is that we're making we're giving them equal opportunity. So now, here is the idea. See, if you think that by giving money from the rich to the poor, then the poor are going to be rich, this idea is flawed. See, what should be done is we should be trying to uplift the poor by making sure that they are empowered. That is what we are trying to do. Empowerment of everyone within Kathmandu Valley, right? By making sure that public sectors become better than private sectors. And once we do that, what we get is that we get equal opportunity for everyone. And by giving equal opportunity for everyone, we provide a chance for them which is they have to utilize it by themselves. We provide a chance for social mobility. And social mobility, which decides happiness, is a key issue in terms of this debate, because livability, as defined by the first speaker of the proposition, depends upon people to people, and what decides how it depends upon people to people is happiness. Now I'd like to talk about the third point that we are going to talk about. It is about how unmanaged urbanization will be solved by 2030. And I'd also like to clarify just one more point. In context of this debate, 2030 doesn't mean that in 2029, December the 31st, exactly when the clock ticks 12, we're not, all of a sudden, Kathmandu is not going to be a livable place. What we're saying by that is 2030 is the arbitrary set of time, which denotes the mid-term future. Let us be clear in terms of this. So this point about 2032 is the completion of Yarangri and Larki rivers is invalid, because 2030 just denotes an arbitrary set of time frame. So saying that, I'd like to leave the stage. Thank you.
Speaker spoke for 8 minutes 31 seconds. Thank you, Prasanna. Next, I'd like to invite the Deputy Leader of Opposition, Ms. Vinamrata Sharma, to deliver her speech.
I'd like to make it clear that the first speaker of opposition side said that health and education is basic need. So, thank you. And as a student of physics, I'd like to ask, what is the uncertainty in 2030? Do you mean the uncertainty is plus minus 50 years, plus minus 100 years? We are quite unclear about that. And now, the first speakers of the proposition house said that air pollution comes from people. People do not comes from people. Now, cleaning air pollution is not like cleaning Bhagirathi River. Huge pollution comes from destruction of roads, the expanding of roads, and not filling up the black top in them, and also from vehicles that emit excessive carbon dioxide. Now, you cannot discourage people from buying cars, can you? And rebuttaling again. Existing of problems like lack of job opportunities is livable. You said that even with the existing problems, our country can be livable. Now, existing problems like job opportunities cannot be livable. And can existing problems like crime in midday can be livable? For example, Rana Bahadur Sahab, the Chief Justice, was killed in his own car in the midday. Now, is that livable? Can other people, if the Chief Justice is killed in that way, can other people live in such insecurity? And about happiness, how can you say a person living under a roof in capital city where there are thousands of buildings, thousands of supermarkets be happy? How can that person cooking a food in small fire in capital can be considered as happy? Sorry. And now, I would like to clear my third argument, which is quite unaddressed by the proposition house of the government. The government has clearly failed to address the fragile houses and buildings that are in no condition to resist earthquakes. Yes, everyone, earthquake is something that is likely to come in near years in Kathmandu. How? In 20th century alone, over 11,000 people lost their lives. In 1934, Bihar Nepal earthquake affected Nepal's political, economical, and cultural capital, destroying 20% and damaging 40% Valley's building stock. In Kathmandu alone, 1/4 of all homes were destroyed, along with historical sites. 3 earthquakes of similar size have occurred in Kathmandu in 19th century already, in 1810, in 1833, and in 1866. This earthquake occurs every 75 years, indicating that devastating earthquake is inevitable in long term. Now, with annual population growth of 14.99% and 2.6 million people already living in Kathmandu, we are facing incredible earthquake risk. Besides, the hope for Melanchi water, electricity by hydropower, and extending roads will certainly encourage people from rural areas to come and reside in in Kathmandu, will that not? You cannot discourage people from coming inside Kathmandu.
May I repeat
Now, when they come to fulfill their mere dreams, in Kathmandu, the population of Kathmandu will increase incredibly. Now, we know that Tribhuvan airport will crack if earthquake comes. So, no international support will come even if we face the calamity risk. The government has no provision for backing places to summon people after earthquake. They have not addressed militaries and resources and other food resources if the disaster comes, which is a probable thing.
May I help you, Imam?
How will Kathmandu become a livable place in such insecurity? Knowing that our future is unsafe, how can people and government deny that the life is full of risk? The government has failed to address the safety issues.
Let me clarify, ma'am.
Such as renewing old houses, have failed to address the sources which will provide, have failed to address the sources which will provide victims with enough food and shelter. Aside main roads, how will ambulance and fire brigades reach the houses that are not approachable by the main roads if earthquake comes? How will they refuse that? Ladies and gentlemen, it is possible to solve the problem, but not in 15 years. Well, if you have the uncertainty of plus minus 100 years, that will be, but not in 15 years. It is possible to provide food with people with some money to renew their houses. It is possible to manage the urbanization so that a house can have enough space in the backyard, but not in 15 years. It is possible to make the city livable, but not in 15 years. Thank you.
Speaker spoke for 4 minutes, 54 seconds. Thank you, Vinamrata. Next, I'd like to invite the whip of the government, Ms. Ojashwi Bhattrai, to deliver her speech.
By 2030 AD, the proposition sides believes and we claim that yes, Kathmandu will be a livable place by 2030. I am Ojashwi Bhattrai and proposition whip, and I am here to first rebut the arguments our opposition side presented. Then I am going to present our case and provide analysis to how our side of arguments are better and how we are being optimistic and trying to solve the problems, whereas the opposition has been nitpicking small problems and being very pessimistic and claiming that we will not be able to address them within 15 years. First of all, let me begin with the first claim our opposition first speaker claimed. That is, we have defined livable as only 90% of the people being happy, whereas our proposition side has given a proper definition of livable. That is, if a city can keep its people happy by providing all the infrastructural, emotional, social, cultural, environmental needs equally to all its citizens So we are saying if a city is providing equal rights, equal facilities to all its citizens, it will be a livable city. So I think the argument the first opposition brought, the first rebuttal the opposition brought is clearly clarified by the proposition side. Then moving on with other claims the opposition side presented was we have not dealt with waste management and other small nitpicking problems like sewage and solid waste management. Our side has clearly presented our policy where we are improving the quality of public sector by introducing a new concept of public-private management which the opposition failed to understand. Let me clarify. Public-private partnership means the government will be monitoring all the activities performed by privatization. So please, opposition side, get your concept clear about public-private partnership.
POI, ma'am.
Then